Hello, I am Thomas Bastian with American Military University. Today I'm presenting Laws for Treatment of Animals to EVSP 508 Environmental Ethics Fall Session D of 2020. The topic for this presentation is the treatment of animals and its array of worldviews depending on individual beliefs. Individuals may feel a competing worldview from one another, such as someone who hunts animals to someone who does not, from a cattle rancher to a vegan, from someone who's grown up in the city compared to growing up on a farm. Even though there are different values of beliefs, many of these laws have underlying tones and similarities for our duty to treat animals with respect. First law is the Lacey Act of 1900. The enforcing agencies are the USDA Animal and Plant Inspection Service and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Associated regulations is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. The Lacey Act prohibits the import-export of animals and plants that are possessed in violation of any federal or international law. It was signed into law in 1900, becoming the first law protecting wildlife. The shifting worldview of the time towards a conservation mindset and placing intrinsic value on wildlife. This act shifted to a more land ethic worldview and the shift from commercial hunting and eradicating wildlife to valuing the biotic community and its future. The second law is the Endangered Species Act of 1973. The enforcing agencies are the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, along with the National Marine Fisheries Service. Again, another associating regulation is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. The Endangered Species Act also shifts to intrinsic value for wildlife in a similar way as the Lacey Act. By prohibiting the take of species listed under the Act, it brings more valuing to the biotic community and valuing their existence when this U.S. law governs international import and export of many species from across the globe. Third law is the Animal Welfare Act of 1966. Enforcing agencies is the USDA Animal and Plant Inspection Service, along with the Animal Care Program. The Animal Welfare Act brings the treatment of animals in research, expedition, and transport into perspective. This worldview dives into Immanuel Kant's views of duties towards animals being indirect duties towards humanity and our treatment towards human beings, being anthropocentric based on the treatment of animals benefiting humans. Also has an underlying tone of evaluating animal suffering and being conscious of their suffering and giving them equal consideration. The last law is the Preventing Animal Cruelty and Torture Act, or Pact, of 2019. Enforcing agencies are all local, state, and federal law enforcement. The Pact expands criminal provisions towards animal cruelty. The Pact was signed into law in 2019 and follows the ethical worldview of the Animal Welfare Act. Be good to animals and be good to humans. Being an anthropocentric based worldview in how we treat animals, benefiting humans and our society. Overall, the U.S. government places intrinsic values in the environment with many of the laws and regulations. Some worldviews being anthropocentric, a land ethic, and utilitarianism. The land ethic brings value to the biotic community and views humans as conquerors of the land and its species. The anthropocentric worldview of our duties is indirectly modifying our actions towards humanity. And utilitarianism worldview giving the aspect of suffering and equal consideration between humans and animals.